And we're back on a late night Wednesday night. We normally don't come on Wednesdays on the news side because it's our faith day, but with the events of the afternoon, we feel like we needed to come on back in here tonight and share some things with you and talk with you. We're grateful to have you. For most of you that are joining us late tonight, you've heard the tragic news of what happened today to a very powerful young man, Charlie Kirk. And our prayers for the family. We just finished a faith special prayer service for the nation, and it was very powerful. Thank you all that was with us in that prayer service. It was so good tonight. And it's on the eve of 9/11. We'll be doing some special stuff tomorrow. I want to just, before I say what I've got to say, I want to just thank Mahgdalen Rose. She stayed up with us late tonight. Buddy, it's good to have you, daughter. I appreciate you staying up. I know it's late, and I just felt like you were the right voice to have with this tonight because I know that you have probably come in contact with Charlie. I've never met him like face to face. I've seen him at events and watched him from afar, but I'm sure that this has had to hit home to the young generation because it was the young generation that he did his greatest outreach to. And what's your thoughts on this terrible news tonight, my friend? It's good to have you, dear. It always is a pleasure to have you.
One of the things that stands out the most is that for Charlie Kirk to be assassinated, it's so, in a lot of ways, strange. I mean, the choice of him. He's not a politician. He's not someone with legislative power. And it shows to me that the left really wants to destroy ideas. They want to destroy discussion. All of it, because that's the only reason why you kill somebody like him. And I think the fact that that he is so young but has been around so long, they knew they were taking out a political institution. And when you do that, it's very heartbreaking, it's very dangerous. And I think they did that because they want to destroy everything about Republicans. Not just stopping Trump from getting elected or stopping Vance from getting elected, but the discussion, the fact that Republicans often convert people over to debate. That's what they want to destroy.
Yeah, when you heard the news this afternoon, what was your first reaction? Did you ever meet him in person, you yourself?
No, but I often thought that this system that him and other commentators do, where you sit surrounded by pretty much an angry mob, I mean, it's dangerous. It's always been a dangerous system. And I think that it's something that in the modern era where conservatives are killed and attacked, it's not a good thing. And I would like to see that stop, because this isn't the same era as 2012. This isn't the era of Mitt Romney or whatnot. This is a time period where young conservatives get hunted down and they get murdered. And this sort of set of commentary where you would go to a college campus, you sit in the middle of a mini angry mob. So that's not a safe reality for conservatives anymore. And I hope people take it seriously, because if it could happen to Charlie, it could happen to anybody.
Have you been surprised and shocked? I haven't, but I'm just curious how you feel at the left's reaction and the absolute vile comments that have come from MSNBC tonight. These TikTokers, some of these kids are gloating, using profanity-laced rants to almost mock his death, mock his family. Has that shocked you at all, or was that something you expected to go along with this?
That doesn't shock me. I mean, I'm surprised anytime a Democrat, a Republican dies, rather than a Democrat doesn't mock it or laugh at it. That's the kind of people they've become. So none of that surprises me. I actually think it's being quite tame for what I would imagine it could be. I think the reason for that is because the left knows that the argument they use constantly, like, there's violence on both sides. No, there isn't. Like, that's not the case. There's not violence on both sides. There's violence on one side, and the other side is a victim, and the other side puts up with it. And I think that they know that. And the loss of Charlie Kirk, it's like an odd sensation, because if you grow up in the last generation of politics, like you know Charlie Kirk, it is a very strange feeling of someone who feels like they've been there forever being gone.
Well, he started that turning point in 2012, and that would have made him 19 years old. I mean, that's been 13 years ago, and he's only 31, and he's just a couple years younger than my middle son. and he's a few years older than you. How did your generation in general? I know there was the left hated him, but the kids of your generation in general, did they look up to Charlie? Because he seemed to have a sway over the young people, both good and bad. Because he had a lot of his. I have to tell you, I give him a lot of credit for bringing a lot of young people into the conservative movement over the last decade. I really do.
Yeah, I mean, I think that if you're an independent or you're a Republican, you thought of him in a very positive way, and he was one of those people who their show would be something that young people would listen to in the background, that they would pay attention to, just like with Ben Shapiro. And there's a sort of a spot within conservative media for people who are great at public speaking, who are great at debate and all these things, who can just provide a really great editorializing of what's going on in the world and how that relates to young people. And right now, I mean, that's really been Charlie Kirk and Ben Shapiro. And I think for someone like Ben Shapiro, it must be a very scary time because he was kind of his contemporary. I mean, he was the other guy in this game at this level. So if you're Ben Shapiro right now, you're probably very scared.
Well, you answered my next question, because going forward, I was going to ask you who takes this mantle up, and Shapiro came to mind. Are there any other voices out there that's going to get to the level of Charlie Kirk as it relates to the young people? Because other than Shapiro, look, I think Candace Owens has lost her natural-born mind. Tucker's lost his mind. And these anti-Semitic voices that are coming even from Congress have lost their mind. And there's one thing that I always respected about Charlie, there's among many things, was his stand for Israel. And he lost friendship with Candace Owens over it. And you know, he stood his ground. He did not trade his morals and principles for the applause of an anti-Semite. I will applaud him in all eternity for that. But who takes this mantle up now that he's going? Is Shapiro the next one, you think? Or is there somebody else that we've not heard about that is going to come blazing on the scene?
Well, Shapiro already exists in this category. So I think his audience grows in this. And what's interesting is that Turning Point, I mean, I would be very concerned about the future of Turning Point. So Charlie had his own show, he had all of those things, but he also had Turning Point. And I think that the problem is going to be the young conservative world is a vicious, backstabbing place. It just always has been. That's just the nature of what it is. And with Charlie gone, I worry if anybody can hold on to Turning Point, because that is the culture.
We actually interviewed Anna Paulina back. It was before she got the big head and got famous. And I don't say that disrespectfully to her. People do that all the time. You better get them going up the ladder, because once they get on that ladder, they forget you. But she was actually part of Turning Point with him. And when her days of Congress are done, what is your thoughts on her? I'm not saying I'm a big fan or not. I'm just saying, but she was part of that early group at the beginning of the MAGA movement that really, had a lot of influence too. Do you think she's going to have any sway of this needle in any way?
No, I don't think she's particularly compelling, and I don't think she has the ability to break things down like someone like Kirk could. I mean, she's good in Congress. There's also been a lot of frustration with her amongst conservatives because they feel like she brings up things, and there's never any great expose that she alleges is going to happen with Epstein or anything like that. So I don't see that. Yeah, I don't see that as a successor at all. I think that the interesting part here is going to be what happens at Turning Point, because Turning Point, in so many ways, runs the conservative world. And I think what a lot of people don't understand is that their favorite writer, their favorite commentator, whatever it is, in some way that person is working with Turning Point, whether they are directly employed by them, collaborating with them. So the person who takes this organization over is going to need such a great understanding of conservative politics. If they don't find that person, I think that Turning Point could crumble.
Yeah, I'm with you. Let me ask you this, and I know you're yawning, and I'm yawning too. It's late. I'm not going to keep you much longer. I may call you tomorrow night if you can. Tomorrow's 9/11. I do want to ask you, were you even born when 9/11 took place?
I was, but I was a baby.
I was thinking to myself, she had to be 1 or 2 at the most, right? Yeah. What does your generation in general think? Did they buy into this 9/11? And look, folks, there's a whole generation, Mag, that don't believe it happened, because you got the left trying to rewrite history and claim that it was something else. And you know, what did Elon Omar? It was just some misunderstood people that some misunderstood things happened on 9/11 or something like that. She said a few years back, and the left is doing its best to make the world forget about what happened to this country. And look, it's never gonna. I'll never be the same. But I'm going to tell you something. I'm never going to be the same after today. These two events have shaken the country, and we need to not forget Benghazi happened tomorrow. In 2012, we had the debacle in Benghazi that took place on 9/11/2012, and these events are all connected because I don't think anybody is going to forget today. I think this is going to be an earth-shattering thing. Does this raise to the level of 9/11 in your opinion?
I mean, I don't think it does, but I think that the way it feels is probably similar. This feels really weird. I mean, the fact that Charlie Kirk is gone is weird. It's peculiar. If you work in conservative media to any extent, or you're a fan of it, the idea that Charlie Kirk is like not here anymore is peculiar. And that's the sort of surreal sense that I think is not fading no matter what anybody does. And one of the problems the left has here is that Charlie Kirk was beloved by the most right-wing of young conservatives there are. And that is one of the most motivated parts of the conservative world. I don't know if they fully grasp what the assassination of Charlie Kirk's going to do. Any goodwill that they've earned, any of that, by not hating Trump, by having the D.C. mayor say that she was helping him, whatnot. I mean, all of that's gone to take out Charlie Kirk. It changes American politics.
Well, and Cleo's in the house tonight. Good to see you, friend. She's from down under Australia, and I think her comment is square on. It's not just affected America, Mac, the world. I'm looking at Benjamin Netanyahu. Albanese put something out there tonight. Even the scum of the earth in Australia, not the people, but I'm talking about the government, because that's a scumbaggery government down there. That left government. There's a lot of scumbaggery governments in this earth. Even Barack Obama, like him or hate him, I mean, he put a very conciliatory message out tonight. Joe Biden did, but there's some on the right that didn't. But this man stood with world leaders, not just American leaders, and that's what I think your point is so well taken, that it does feel weird. It feels weird to me tonight. It's almost surreal. I told my beautiful wife tonight before we said our goodnight, it feels weird. It feels it's like a numbing feeling that you can't believe that we're telling people that Charlie Kirk is dead, and the way it happened. And then you've got this cloud over the situation. There's been two people today they thought were the killers, and they've had to release both of them because they've realized they wasn't. We still don't know who did it. We don't know why they did it. John Solomon's reporting there could be some foreign influence. I don't even know what that means at this point. And then you've got the right crazies that are claiming Mossad did it. And I'm sure Israel will get blamed for this. Trump's getting blamed for it. Climate change is getting blamed for it. Let me see, who else? Gun control. The guns are the problem. The left's got to throw that gun control in. So it does have that feel, but this has reached the world, Magdalene, not just America. And that's why I think it's a mind-altering event. I think this day changed America, and I'm going to ask you about the situation in Charlotte, and I'll let you go because I know it's late, hon. But is it a day that's going to be remembered all over the world, not just America?
I think so, and I think especially for conservatives across the world. Turning Point had a good UK presence. They had a lot of presence in the British media, especially when it comes to Sky News and Piers Morgan. So there's definitely a following there in the UK and Australia. And one of the things that's so peculiar about this, I mean, he's so young. We're not dealing with somebody who lived a full life, and that's what makes it so jarring, I think, to so many people. True. It's not somebody who had been through so much. It's he had two young children. I think he been married maybe 4 years. So the grief that this comes from, he was also really stepping into a new life where he was going to be changing roles in a lot of ways. There was a lot of discussion that I heard months ago about how in the next administration, if it was Vance, we could be looking at him in a chief of staff role or a chief advisor role. So this was going to be a new era where Charlie Kirk was going to put a stamp on Washington with his next positions. And that's all gone. And I think it's really weird to think that's all gone.
I got to ask you this question. We had a guy in the chat earlier tonight. We did a special earlier today, and he actually made a great point. He said that he believed that some of the reason, because it's beginning to, the narrative tonight from law enforcement is that this was a calculated, planned out, well planned out assassination. This was not something that was just thought about doing. It wasn't some crazy that went to the event with a gun. I'm going to walk up and shoot Charlie Kirk. They shot him from 200 yards out, JFK style. They tried to do it to Trump in July of 24. This was sophisticated. But the guy today, I think it was Cherokee George, he said he believed that they were afraid that the aspirations of Kirk was headed to the White House eventually, that he may have been possible a president of the future. And I would have voted for him in 3 seconds if he would have run, because I think he would have been very qualified. Do you think that played into this today?
Oh, absolutely. And I don't know if he was going to be president. I had heard much more that he was going to be sort of the main person running the West Wing. Okay. And that was more what was going to happen, especially if Vance won or if DeSantis won. Really, either of those guys, he was going to have a major role. And I think what's so odd here is that it's starting to feel like Democrats are trying to destroy the future and the current time by trying to kill President Trump then and then doing what they've done now. And this line that it's on both sides, I saw the head of TMZ trying to rustle up examples on both sides. It's really not. Like, it's our people that get shot at. Looking at Steve Scalise, looking at Trump, Charlie Kirk is dead. Like, there is a pattern here. And then worldwide, there are many members of the Alternative for Germany party, which is the conservative one, who've been murdered. They stabbed Bolsonaro in Brazil or Argentina. I think there's a big difference now that in the fact that conservatives are under siege. And for Charlie Kirk to be dead, I mean, it feels like ridiculous. Like when I saw the graphics tonight for In Memoriam from Fox News showing like his birth here and his death here, it feels ridiculous because it is ridiculous. And the left knows that nobody on Fox News contributes to people thinking that Democrats are unhinged Nazis. That's not the same case for people on MSNBC.
No, the MSNBC people are unhinged Nazis. And Matthew Dowd, the very fact that he's not fired already tells me everything I need to know. But I will ask you a question point blank. Do you think the FCC should yank their license for this crap?
Yeah. No, I do. I think that it has to stop. I think that there are people like Jake Tapper who do an okay job pretending not to be hateful. I think there are people who can carry it. But MSNBC, for years, has been doing this.
Go ahead.
And MSNBC has become a very dangerous institution. And you know, they try to say, well, we got rid of Joy Reid. Right, you got rid of Joy Reid after a decade of incendiary, disgusting lies that many times led to lawsuits against her. That's when you got rid of Joy Reid. They pretend they make big changes to protect the truth. They don't change anything, and I think MSNBC should be yanked off.
I'll totally agree, and that's what the calls are being made for tonight. Let me ask you this: a couple of things. Van Jones last night on CNN went on a rant about Charlie Kirk. Do you think that instilled any extra fuel to this, or do you think that this was like the FBI spokespeople out there? I've seen a couple of former FBI agents that have said that they believe that this was, again, calculated and well planned out, and that would sort of give credence to the argument that Van Jones what he said didn't matter. I tend to believe it's a little bit of both, because I do believe what Van Jones said last night did not help the situation. And you know, it's funny, when Kirk was doing the rebuttal, we played the rebuttal video on our show last night, and he announced that he was going to Utah. And whoever was waiting for him there, Mahgdalen, it was brutal. And I mean, I couldn't even, I was going to play the video for the folks tonight at 5, and I couldn't do it. I tell you, it was graphic. If you've seen that video, it's graphic stuff. But where does Van Jones fit in all this anti-racism rhetoric on CNN? Because they're just as bad. If you're going to yank MSNBC, CNN is next. That's how I feel about it.
Yeah, Van Jones shut his mouth because Donald Trump passed criminal justice reform for him. Donald Trump signed it into law. He used political capital to do it. Van Jones got everything he wanted. And I get sick of his fake I am not an extremist. I want to talk to both sides nonsense. Van Jones knows exactly what he's doing. And he said in a clip, I don't remember who it was with, but he said we have to stop pretending Donald Trump is an idiot because he's clearly not. He's the most powerful person in the world. We have to stop pretending that Van Jones is any better than Joy Reid, is any better than Rachel Maddow. He's not. He's just as much of an extremist, except he dresses it down in sort of more acceptable language. The fact is, we have allowed the left to behave like crazy people. In 2019, I believe it was 2019, when Maxine Waters said, get out, surround them.
Exactly.
Make them uncomfortable. Democrats should have thrown her out of the party and denounced her. They didn't. They made her quiet for a little while. They silenced anti-Maxine, but they didn't punish her. And what came from that was the Democrat Party we're dealing with now. That was the moment where Democrats had to make a choice, whether they were going to be like her or they were going to not be like her. They chose to go all in, and now Charlie Kirk is dead, and there's a direct correlation.
Well, Mr. Pritzker, Mr. Peanut Doughboy, up in Chicago tonight, he's blaming Trump. He's blaming J6 and Trump. What's your thoughts on that? I mean, is that not the most moronic, stupid thing? And then Murphy tonight in Connecticut, he's saying that Trump's the one that needs to be held accountable for this, not the left.
Yeah, I mean, it's ridiculous. They're trying to blame it on guns, and they're trying to do this. This is obviously a coordinated assassination. The idea that passing stricter gun control was going to stop it is laughable.
It's laughable.
It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. I don't know who did this. I don't know why they did this. But this is not a run-of-the-mill attack. This is not you're going to find a crazy manifesto in someone's bedroom. They have what looks to be, quite honestly, decoy shooters. People jumping in to say they were the shooter when they weren't in order to give the guy more time to get away. I mean, there's something sophisticated and spy level about what has happened here. And one shot, no multiple shots, no one else hurt. One shot that hit. I'm very skeptical about the fact that if we had stricter gun control in Utah, then somehow Charlie Kirk wouldn't be dead. That's ridiculous. I think that we're dealing with a coordinated hit job. And if that is true, we all know which side it came from.
Yeah, I'll agree. Good to see Annie Jensen. She's from the Philippines, and she said they just woke up to this news, and I think it's sending some shockwaves. I want to go back to something you said, kid. I keep telling you I'm gonna let you go, but I'm hang on with me just a few more minutes here. I do want to ask you about the factor of where this puts conservatives like Charlie Kirk, not just the young ones, but us older guys and people like you, Magdalen. Like, I pray for your safety every day. I pray for that the Lord protects you. You're a young lady. You're a very solid voice. That's why we've adopted you, and we appreciate you coming on and talking to us the way you do, and you speak. And you mentioned Shapiro being a little. She'd be concerned. How concerned are you for the safety of events? That is this their goal to get the conservatives? Roger Hooker asked a question a while ago. Is the security on these college campuses ever going to be ramped up? Because it's usually when the conservatives come, they actually almost the head of the colleges are pleading and begging for these kids to go out and do the crap they did today at Utah Valley. And a liberal comes and you've got half the National Guard there to protect them. I think the colleges bear a little responsibility. They should have had some security there.
Yeah, I mean, and this is something I had an issue with going back to 2015. And I do think that Ben Shapiro is to blame for a lot of the ideas that you can go stand in a mob of people who hate you and it's going to be safe. Because he became famous. People don't remember that Ben Shapiro was a commentator. He was a writer. He was doing op-eds. He became famous for his debates at UC Berkeley. He became famous for those moments. That's what launched all of the things he has now. Where he would stand there and be accosted by crazy people for hours and hours and hours. And I always thought that was a very dangerous, slippery slope, that it was not a good idea to allow that to happen to yourself. And so Shapiro and Kirk and many people who have these like mini debates with people, this has always been extremely dangerous. I'm surprised something like this hasn't happened before. Because if you want to get to one of these people, just wait till they do one of these tours, and then you could hurt them. I mean, that's what happened with Kirk. I believe this was one of the first stops on this new tour of his. And to me, I don't understand how in the era of the political violence we saw in Butler, Pennsylvania, I think conservatives have earned the right to be paranoid, and they should be.
I would be very paranoid. I know where I do this show from, and I jokingly told my brothers today, I said, I've gotten to the point, because I've been swatted before. It happened in 2019. I know how it feels, and it's not a good feeling, but where my show is done, I've got a window right in front of me here, and when cars slow down and stop in the middle of the night and they don't go nowhere, I get a little nervous. I mean, I do. And I mean, I'm not a big potato. Thank God I'm not a big fish. Chris is under the radar, but there's still people that recognize me sometimes out in the public. They'll come up to me and say, "Hey, I see your show." And but I do believe, I mean, I don't walk in fear, but I think that it's wisdom that I think we better be aware of our surroundings, and I think I think one thing we need to be assured of tonight, maybe this is going to be a wake-up call that we're going to realize, the right, I should say, is when the left tells you they're going to kill you, and the left makes these threats, that they mean it, Mac. They're not just whistling Dixie. It's not just for social media posts. These kids that have put these videos out saying they want to see somebody dead, they want to see Trump dead, Kirk dead, all the conservatives dead, the Republicans dead, they mean it, because they did it. They did it tonight.
Yeah, I mean, they did, and I think on all of the polling that always showed, not polling, but all the data analysis has always showed who are the biggest impact makers in terms of actual social media content across platforms. Kirk was always in the top 3 or the top 5. It was always him, President Trump, Don Jr., Elon for a while, and it would go back and forth, but he was always in the mix in those very top spots. The amount of people that he interacted with through posts and things daily was massive, and I don't know if the left understands this is like an obliteration of a youth leader at a massive level. And there's nothing really, like, I'm trying to think of someone comparable on the left-wing side, and there really isn't anyone. I mean, like, because they just don't have youth outreach in this way. They're everything is routed through Hollywood on the Democrat side. So there's nothing comparable. And for people to be able to watch him die. I mean, those videos are everywhere. I've seen them from a million different angles. He will be sort of immortal now within conservative politics. And the impact and the fallout, I think, is also going to be in the Trump administration. Trump's been very kind to Democrats for someone who, has been like imprisoned and shot at, and they tried to take his life away. He's been very kind. I hope that the kindness is over, because it was never met with anything except plotting to hurt us.
I couldn't agree more, and I think I've learned that lesson through 7 years of this show. There's some people you just can't be kind to, and you just need to move on and shut the door, and if they bite the hand that feeds you when you're kind, and move on. But he's going to have to, I think he needs to bring all hell down on the left, and I think that somebody needs to be held accountable at these networks, because the stuff that was said today, I think, and look, we have free speech in this country, we have freedom of the press, but from a moral standpoint and from a standpoint that it put lives in danger, and it put Charlie Kirk's family in danger. Magdalene, it's not just Charlie Kirk, it's his wife and those 2 beautiful kids that are left. His mother, his father, his family, I don't know if he had brothers and sisters, but it's not just Charlie Kirk that's involved in this, it's his entire family. And when you start doing stuff like that, and and I'm seeing some of the comments about he should have been behind a bulletproof glass, and that's easy to say, and I'm not disagreeing, and I'm not taking issue with those statements. I get the sentiment, but again, I think that was what made Charlie Kirk. He was never scared, and he knew where he was going. He knew exactly who he was around. Did he wake up this morning and think today would be his last day on earth because some professional hitman would have put a bullet through his neck with a gun? No. But I do believe that he was very aware of the danger. Would wisdom have made him get behind a bulletproof podium? Probably, but that's hindsight, and it's moot point now, because they've succeeded in doing what they set out to do, and that's kill him. I'm just concerned for our leaders in D.C. and we need to be praying for their safety. I'll let you wrap us up, kid. I know it's late. Thank you for coming on tonight. I really appreciate it. I'm going to get you on back on this week or for 9/11 and some other things this week. Wrap us up, your final thoughts on all this.
Yeah, I mean, I think that this is a very peculiar world we're in. I think it's weird. It feels strange. And the targeting of Charlie Kirk really concerns me because this shows, I mean, Charlie Kirk had no legislative power. He couldn't pass a law. He had no political power in terms of what politicians have. To shoot and murder Charlie Kirk, to me, shows that they care much more about the people who can actually make an impact in speaking to people, in changing minds, in sharing content, than they do politicians. I would have been less surprised if you told me Trump was assassinated than I was today. And I think for his family as well, it's a very sad time because the fact is his wife was becoming quite a big part of his empire, as she should, and he had 2 young children. The entire thing is tragically sad, and I hope that Republicans understand that this has always been an inevitability. These things where you allow yourself to be surrounded by many angry mobs on college campuses. They made no sense in 2015. They made no sense when Riley Gaines was almost beaten up a little while back when she was touring a college campus as a speaker. And they make no sense now. Stop doing them. Stop encouraging them and find a new way to talk to people.
Could have said it better, and your wisdom is beyond your years as always. I know it's late, kid. Let's get some rest. I'll holler at you tomorrow, and may you have a restful night and be safe, okay? And our prayers for your safety too. You keep yourself safe up there, and we bless you. And you know we love you like a daughter, and I appreciate you being with me tonight, okay?
Yep, thank you so much.
See you soon, kid. Magdalene Rose, everybody. I want you to put some fire in that house. She's up past her bedtime. She's up past her bedtime tonight, but the baby's asleep, so she was able to come on, thank God. And I'm grateful for her. I was talking to her today, and I could tell that the news of this had shook all of us, folks. Look, and good to see Rosanna Parsons in the house tonight. Rosanna, so good to see you, dear. Bless you. Hadn't seen you in a while, and but it shook all of us. It shook me today. I've been weepy. I've been sort of. And I think Magdalene says it right. It feels weird. It's almost a surreal thing to say Charlie Kirk got shot today and assassinated. Folks, we ain't seen anything like this. We came close. You think of how we feel tonight. What would have happened had this crazed lunatic in Butler, Pennsylvania, succeeded in what he did? Tried to do with President Trump, and this Jack Ruth did what he tried to do just a month later on that Mar-a-Lago golf course. I mean, think of the ramifications of this nation. I do believe that there are going to be ramifications of this. I do. I think that we've just entered a sad state of affairs in this nation, folks. This nation has gone violent. And I didn't get a chance to ask Magdalene about it, but we had this terrific August 22nd event where this Ukrainian girl, this innocent Ukrainian refugee that was over here trying to flee the war zone of Ukraine and Russia, she escapes all that. They'll want you to come over here and be knifed to death in her neck by another crazed lunatic. And then we had a violent shooting up in Minnesota where 2 kids were killed, an 8-year-old and a 10-year-old, from another guy that if he would have gotten in that school, this transgender. And, you know, Miller was telling me today, and he pointed it out on the early show, and he was right. It's funny that the moment that Charlie started talking about the transgender community, and they asked him the question, how much transgender violence is too much, and he said all of it. He said there should be none of it. And boom, that's when the shot rang out and it hit his neck. It's very tragic. I'm seeing the video in my mind right now, and for those of you who've seen it, it's tough. It's tough to watch. I couldn't watch it but once. I tell you, and someone sent me or X. I found another one that had a different angle, and it was a professional hit. Now I don't have time to do a video feed tonight. We're going to probably do that tomorrow night, but I do want to come over to the Newswire. President Trump had something to say about this tonight. I want to play his comments, and I'm going to take your comments and questions in just a second on this late night. And this is President Trump earlier tonight about Charlie Cook. Roll the tape.
To my great fellow Americans, I am filled with grief and anger at the heinous assassination of Charlie Kirk on a college campus in Utah. Charlie inspired millions, and tonight all who knew him and loved him are united in shock and horror. Charlie was a patriot who devoted his life to the cause of open debate and the country that he loved so much, the United States of America. He fought for liberty, democracy, justice, and the American people. He's a martyr for truth and freedom, and there's never been anyone who was so respected by youth. Charlie was also a man of deep, deep faith, and we take comfort in the knowledge that he is now at peace with God in heaven. Our prayers are with his wife, Erica, the two young, beloved children, and his entire family, who he loved more than anything in the world. We ask God to watch over them in this terrible hour of heartache and pain. This is a dark moment for America. Charlie Kirk traveled the nation, joyfully engaging with everyone interested in good faith debate. His mission was to bring young people into the political process, which he did better than anybody ever, to share his love of country and to spread the simple words of common sense. On campuses nationwide, he championed his ideas with courage, logic, humor, and grace. It's a long past time for all Americans and the media to confront the fact that violence and murder are the tragic consequence of demonizing those with whom you disagree day after day, year after year, in the most hateful and despicable way possible. For years, those on the radical left have compared wonderful Americans like Charlie to Nazis and the world's worst mass murderers and criminals. This kind of rhetoric is directly responsible for the terrorism that we're seeing in our country today, and it must stop right now. My administration will find each and every one of those who contributed to this atrocity and to other political violence, including the organizations that fund it and support it, as well as those who go after our judges, law enforcement officials, and everyone else who brings order to our country. From the attack on my life in Butler, Pennsylvania last year, which killed a husband and father, to the attacks on ICE agents, to the vicious murder of a healthcare executive in the streets of New York, to the shooting of House Majority Leader Steve Scalise and 3 others, radical left political violence has hurt too many innocent people and taken too many lives. Tonight, I ask all Americans to commit themselves to the American values for which Charlie Kirk lived and died, the values of free speech, citizenship, the rule of law, and the patriotic devotion and love of God. Charlie was the best of America, and the monster who attacked him was attacking our whole country. An assassin tried to silence him with a bullet, but he failed, because together we will ensure that his voice, his message, and his legacy will live on for countless generations to come. Today, because of this heinous act, Charlie's voice has become bigger and grander than ever before, and it's not even close. May God bless his memory, may God watch over his family, and may God bless the United States of America. Thank you.
That's our president, President Trump. Well said there, and very, very well said. I want to find the article of that. Let's see here. I think it was BB sent his condolences in here. You can see all the news stories coming in about this is off Breitbart tonight. These are the morons, not Charlie there, but the Katie Tur of MSNBC, Newsom, who's basically been doing the same thing, hateful about Republicans, hateful about the president, hateful about things like that, and so forth. And then there's some of the Hollywood types with their faux pas concern. But Benjamin Netanyahu, we'll find that article for tomorrow and so forth. Let me get James Akers on the phone here. He wanted to come on and talk about this with us. Before y'all go to bed, we got another great guest coming on, and he's with us 2 nights in a row. Let's see if he can answer the phone. James Akers on the phone with us tonight. How are you, buddy?
I'm doing fine. Can you hear me?
I can hear you fine, man. Good to hear from you. How are you this evening?
I'm doing fine. How are you doing?
Good, buddy. It's been a sad day for our country, and I'm going to come back to my screen here. James Akers, everybody. We're grateful to have him. We asked him to come on and give his thoughts about this tonight. Buddy, I tell you, it's been a surreal day, a very sad day for this nation. This feels JFK assassination type stuff to me. I wasn't even born when JFK was killed, but I don't think I've seen anything like this that has shaken the world like the assassination of Charlie Kirk today, James.
Now, it's just an absolute shame. I think, personally, I thought he was the brightest star of the conservative movement. You know, he certainly had a gift for rallying young people to sort of a common sense political viewpoint in a way we haven't seen anybody be able to do it in a long time. And it's just from several perspectives, it's just a tragedy.
It is a tragedy beyond tragedies. Do you think that this changes the landscape of our country at all? Do you think that people come to their senses and this rhetoric stops? Does it ramp up? Do we keep doing this until somebody really, really, really big gets killed? It's not that Charlie wasn't big, but James, they tried to do this to Trump twice last year, maybe more than that. There was another incident that wasn't really reported 3 times. What do you think? I mean, where did we get off this train of violence in this country? Because, my friend, it's as bad as I've seen it in my lifetime, what's going on right now. These are troublesome, dangerous, perilous end times that we're in tonight.
Yeah, I agree. There's another school shooting today.
In Denver. Yeah, we hadn't even mentioned that tonight. That's right.
And, it's just like, as we have talked about many times, it's just like everything's coming unglued here. And this whole lawlessness, and it seems to, it all seems to run in one direction. It's like conservatives have a target on their back, it's just a shame, Charlie. I've been to a couple sessions where he was the speaker. I just considered him brilliant, and just a tragic loss tonight.
Do you think that this puts, you mentioned the added jeopardy, what does this do to conservatives being out in the public? I know that somebody was saying that he should have had maybe been behind some kind of glass. James, this was a calculated professional hit. I don't think it would have mattered how many glasses he was behind. I think they had this thing planned out before he stepped on that campus today. Somebody upstairs big, I'm not talking about the God of heaven, I'm talking about in this country, some dark forces in high places wanted him dead. And I don't think it would have mattered, to be honest with you, because he had his own security there, and they wasn't able to protect him from this. That's a dangerous. That's getting into an area that it makes us all not want to go out in the public too much, don't it?
Well, I think that was sort of. I've heard several conservative commentators. I think that was the design, right? You don't have anyone that was more bold than he was. He would go into to colleges and allow. He would invite people that disagreed with him to step up and get in front of the line to the microphone, and he would battle them on their own terms with logic. And so he was the boldest and most daring of the daring, and they may have tried to send a message that we're going to cower everybody and keep everybody indoors, and those people that are boldest in the message, maybe this type of thing will keep them in their place. That sort of seems like the hidden message to me.
Do you think that this day gets remembered as other assassinations get remembered, like JFK and other big names that have been, like Malcolm X? I know that's not probably an apple for apple thing with Charlie Cook, but look, we've had some high Martin Luther King, JFK, presidents of the past that have been killed. Does this rank up there with you to that kind of level? Because it's worldwide, James. It's not just America. Look, Benjamin Netanyahu, he's been out there tonight. Condolences. Australia's prime minister. This is shaking the world. I've talked to people down under in England. It is shaking the world tonight. What's happened here, and I think that it's an earthquake, serious earthquake. People are waking up that there's a violent left that wants to silence the voices of conservatives and people that have faith. Let me just say this real quick. One of the questions was, do you believe he got killed for his political views or his Christian faith? It was both, but I would lean more that it was his Christian faith that put that bullseye on his back more than his political views. That's my take. What's yours?
I wouldn't disagree with that. It may lie somewhere in between there, but certainly he was outspoken in terms of his faith, and we just live in a world where there are so many forces of evil that do not want to hear that message. And let me ask you something. I thought early on that the FBI director Patel said that they had a person
of interest, yeah,
in custody, and
they have been released.
But
as
I
of
haven't
tonight.
heard much more about that.
We were going to report this after we got off the phone with you. They have released that suspect. They've had two. There was a bald-headed guy today that evidently was a little disturbed. If you saw the video, I mean, his pants literally was around his ankle. They were dragging him, and I think that he was claiming he had done that when they checked, and he did not do it. And then the second suspect was in custody, and late tonight they released him. So the gunman is at large. But the eerie thing, James, about this, it's another roof shooting. Somebody got on a roof and did this from 200 yards out. So these people that are doing this, that's well-trained gunmanship. That's a well-trained sniper. He doesn't learn how to do that at the Holiday Inn Executive Training Corporation, does he?
No, and one shot to the throat.
Yes.
It was absolutely deliberate. They need to find the person or persons responsible, and it's just it's a sad day for the country.
Yeah, one of the questions I'll ask you, and it's late, buddy, and I thank you for staying up with us tonight. If I ever get a bill from you for all these late nights, just put it on my tab, and I'll make payments of $10 a month for the rest of my life. How about that, to pay off my bill? And I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll take you to several Reds games and feed you hot dogs and pay off the bill that way. But seriously though, inciting violence, would you yank if you were the FCC tonight, and you've heard the rhetoric, I know you've heard it just like I've heard some of it. I've not even heard all of it, but the stuff I've heard has been pretty sick, and we're going to deal with that more tomorrow night. But MSNBC, I do not believe, needs to be broadcasting after the stuff they allowed on their network today. Neither should CNN, to be frank with you, and MSC. None of them. Have you been shocked at that, or is that pretty normal hat? But are they not inciting the very violence that they're actually claiming they're condemning?
Well, I mean, I stand on one side of the political divide on all of this stuff, but it is some of the things that I heard that were broadcast were disgraceful, just absolutely disgraceful. And we have got to come to grips with some of this stuff. This was a tragedy of the first dimension. A young, gifted politician that didn't rub it in your face. He would take on all people and debate with them and present his arguments. He listened to every one of them, and you wouldn't even think that if you heard some of this stuff coming out of the left tonight. Yeah. It is just totally disgusting as far as I'm concerned.
Did you think the comments last night with Van Jones basically calling Charlie Kirk a racist? Do you think that played into this? Do you think that added fuel to this fire? Because Van Jones needs to be fired, in my opinion. What he said, and even today when he made the comment, I don't know if you heard this or not, he went out and literally said that white liberals, even white liberals, it was a white thing. He made it racial. He said there is a gene in our heads, if we're white tonight, that automatically makes us think racist thoughts if you're white. And he said, even my white liberal friends have a hard time fighting this off. That's the most racist thing I've ever heard in my life. And all Van Jones is out there doing is calling Charlie Kirk a racist last night, James. And then this happens today. And CNN needs to have a house cleaning. They all do.
Oh, there are several, based on some comments I heard today after the shooting, before he had the announcement came that he had died. There were just some disgraceful things that were said. These people need to lose their job. There has to be some accountability for just spewing this nonsense that we hear these days, and I don't know how they're going to do it. The rhetoric has become so virulent in this country in several respects, and it's just disgraceful. It is disgraceful.
I'm going to ask you something that I asked Mahgdalen Rose earlier tonight, and I'll let you go after this. We'll pick this up tomorrow or the rest of the week. Who takes Charlie's place as that voice that reaches these young people like he did, or is he irreplaceable? Because I tell you, James, he had more influence over these kids, and other than Barron Trump, I give Charlie Kirk a lot of the credit for the victory in 2024 with the young people. I think that he had such an impact on that age group that this older generation, may not even understand just how much he impacted that election, because I think he got these young conservatives fired up with his message. And other than Barron Trump himself, he got the young people to come out and vote for Barron's dad.
Yeah, no, I think he was a unique voice for this window of time, and had a very unique skill set when it came to presenting things in a logical way. And I'm not sure there is a person out there in the conservative camp that's going to be able to replace him. He was unique.
Does this add your concern to the safety for President Trump now? Does this send a chilling message that they're willing to do this? Because they've not stopped trying to kill people, James. President Trump's got the Secret Service surrounded tonight for whatever that's worth. But do you think that we're facing more of this?
Well, there's just no accountability. When some of this stuff happens, the leftist press will say they're mentally unbalanced and this, that, and the other. There's always an excuse rather than hold people accountable for these evil acts. And well, I mean, we'll see if they get the guy, the gal, or group that was responsible, how they're going to act. If the pattern holds true, they're going to find the guy and they will claim he committed suicide or something like that. And we've seen that pattern play out several times in some of these high-profile murders. And I tell you, this is my personal view. There's a lot of people don't agree with me. I think they got away with the murder of a Supreme Court justice a few years ago.
Scalia, I do too. Do you think that Pam Bondi taking over this case in Charlotte is going to make a difference in the outcome of that situation? That man needs to have the death penalty, in my opinion. Do you agree with that?
Yes. Yes, I do.
Yeah.
And it to me it all goes back to just in our culture, and the further left you go, the more it becomes a problem, in my view, that there's just a total absence of accountability, much less common sense, and we're starting to reap the reward for all of that.
Well, buddy, it's 12:05. It's officially 9/11, and we're going to get you back on with thoughts about this today. It's not just 9/11 for 2001, but people forget that this is 9/11 for Benghazi, the Benghazi situation, and we may get you on again tomorrow night. And again, don't double charge me for being on 3 times this week, but we always enjoy your insight, buddy, and appreciate you taking your time out to talk to this old dude. I appreciate you. I really do.
Oh, it's been my pleasure. I was disturbed with what I saw today, and the reaction that people should have known better than to say what they said. And we're in a topsy-turvy world. I mean, Putin launches a bunch of drones in Poland just to see if there'll be any reaction whatsoever. The Israelis tried to hit Hamas in the Middle East. There are so many things that are going on right now.
Yeah.
And this just sort of caps it off.
Yeah, that's an understatement, brother. I tell you what, man. Well, listen, whatever you do, you and your wife, your lovely wife, be safe. And we're praying for you. Thank you for being with me tonight. I'm going to say goodnight to these folks. God bless you, friend. And thank you for
God bless you. And it's always my pleasure. And those of your listeners that are of faith, tighten up the belt, because this isn't the end of all this madness.
Totally agree.
It's only the beginning.
Totally agree, my friend. Get some rest, man. God bless you, friend. We'll talk to you tomorrow. See you, man.
Okay.
Good night.
Blessings, Chris.
You bless
Bye.
you too, buddy. James Akers, everybody. Put some fire in that house. We've had 2 great guests tonight. All right, I've got a lot to say, but I'm going to save it. I'm going to save my gunpowder for tomorrow night. Pardon the pun. But I'm going to save what I got to say, because I want to listen to you tonight for a few minutes. If you've got something, a comment or a question, go ahead, put it in the house. And Jeff, you say it's domestic terrorism. I totally agree. Absolutely. And a lot of you agree in the fact that he had such a impact on those young people. That's why they took him out. And I do agree with that too. It's good to see all of our folks in the house tonight. We've had a record audience tonight on this Thursday night. Really is. Dennis says, I've shed tears all day, but right now I'm just plain mad, so I better just shut my mouth. Dennis, I think there's a lot of folks that feel that way tonight. I've shed some tears today too. I want to comment on Mary, your comment about your faith is being tested today. Mary, I think a lot of people's faith, I want you to just take heart to know that I think a lot of people's faith has not just been tested today. I think this whole summer This whole year has been a very rough year for people of faith. And I want you to take heart tonight, and I'm not just talking to you. I'm talking to some other people that I think are probably feeling the same thing. You know, we had a faith show tonight. We had the most beautiful prayer time. If you were with us this earlier tonight on that Faith Network, we didn't do anything but play music and pray. You know, we had a little small teaching at the beginning, ending, just a few thoughts, but we just let the people come on and pray for our country. And it was so beautiful. It was such a sweet presence of God, start to finish. Mary, I can't tell you that things are going to get better, but I will tell you this. As long as your faith is where it needs to be, and that's in Christ and Him crucified, my friend, you're going to get through this, and I'm going to get through this, and our nation's going to get through this if we'll keep our faith in Christ and looking above right now. I know it's hard to do that with the clutter and the loud noise and all of these distractions and the hatefulness that's out there on the internet, and I would just suggest get away with the Lord somewhere alone and seek Him, and know that you're not the only one whose faith is being tested right now. I think we all are going through this test, and God's faithful. He's going to get us through it. These are tough days. This has been a tough week on this country, folks. If you think about it, we've had that horrible shooting in Minnesota. 2 kids are dead. We've had this horrible revelation, at least. The actual event took place back in August. The media kept it quiet, and it got leaked from the Charlotte Press and got on the national pages of this Ukrainian girl that was going home to her boyfriend that night and never made it home, dropped dead because monsters stabbed her in the neck from behind. And then this event today, this has shaken the core of us all. It's shaken my core. I would have loved to have met this young man in person. I saw him at a distance. I went to see Bill Federer, I think it was a year and a half ago in Nashville, and it was a Turning Point event. And Charlie, I saw him at a distance, and I was trying to get to him. And of course, when you've got Charlie Kirk around, the whole world wants to be around him, so it's hard to get to him. But I would have loved to have sat down and chatted with him and shaken his hand and just said thank you for the testimony and for the faith that you exhibited in spite of everything these leftists were throwing at you. And I have to tell you, folks, he was very gracious to Van Jones. Even in his rebuttal video last night, I was impressed with his character because he didn't rail on Van. He invited Van to come talk to him. Said, you want to come debate me? Have at it. Bring it on. But Van would have never done that because Charlie would have hit him with the facts. But he was very gracious to somebody that was calling him a racist all day yesterday and last night on CNN. And that's what made Charlie Kirk Charlie Cook. But anyway, be safe and be of faith. Be of faith. Lisa says, the broken heart is just so tangible. All this proves is Jesus is coming soon and the justice will be these demons to be dragged to where they belong. Lisa, remember, it's the spirit behind these folks. Just remember that. It's the spirits. The spirit of violence that is gripping this nation is palpable. It is. It is. And it's I'm not denying that it's not. But that's exactly what is going on. Roger says, my faith is strong, but my patience is definitely being tested. I think that's all of us. Roger, Pat and Deb says, my heart is heavy for all of this hate we are seeing. We must keep our faith in God. Yes, we must, friend. Good to see y'all late here tonight. Really do mean that. Annie Jensen says, they want us to be afraid of everything. Do not fear. I'm with you there, Annie. I'm totally. Jerry Lynn says, it feels like a shift happened with this killing. Something has changed. Yeah, I'm not going to disagree with that. Carol Smith says, it's heartbreaking to see what's happened to our country. I'm old enough to remember that when it once was, what it once was, and the young will never know. You know, Carol, that is such a good point, and I'm grateful you said that because I was not alive when JFK himself, John F. Kennedy, was shot. I was born 3 years after that. You know, but we're still talking about that assassination 60 years into the future. And I got a feeling that this, if the Lord tarries, and a lot of that depends on whether the Lord tarries or not, we're going to be talking about this for a long time. And I'm with you, Geraldine, to a point. This changed something in the atmosphere over our country today. I don't think the depth of what happened today has hit us yet. I don't think the full-fledged feeling of what happened today, because I know it's not hit me fully yet. I've had to do shows today, and my mind's been on this, trying to get these shows together to come to you and bring you as much information as we can of what we know about. What we do know tonight, the suspect is still at large, by the way. We don't have any news on who did it. We just know he was on a rooftop. We know the bullet came from about 200 yards out. That's all we know. John Solomon's reporting that there's some indication it may have been a foreign influence, but they can't prove that. And please ignore these right-wing stations that are claiming it was from Mossad and all this conspiracy Q talk and all this nuts. Folks, this is not the time for that crap. You got a man that's grieving, or a family that's grieving over the death of this young man. Show some class, please. But it's the left and the right sometimes that gets, I don't know where our heads are at. But anyway, I don't think it's hit us. I don't think that the whole scope of this, and I feel it in my spirit, and I feel it that maybe, Geraldine, you're right. Maybe something did shift, but I don't think that we've come to grips with that just yet. It's going to hit us. It's going to hit the countries. I think it hit President Trump tonight. That was a pretty passionate statement, and it is a dark moment for our country. It's a dark, dark stain on our nation. And it's going to be up to us to how we go forward from this. And I hope we go forward and this rhetoric calms down, because if it keeps going, more of this is going to happen. And these kids, folks, they're already nuts. Some of these kids are fully demon possessed. They got something in their brains that just ain't working. And there's some older folks that got some stuff in their brains that ain't working either. It ain't just the young kids. Anyway. Let's see here. A couple of the comments. Zella says Van Jones is a die-hard communist. Yes, he was in the Obama administration. That is very true. Patty Isaac says this crazy rhetoric must stop. And that is correct. Girl for Jesus says sad to see Charlie's children to lose their dad. Girl for Jesus, you know, that's the one part of this that the media, some of the media is talking about. But that is, when you have these things happen like this, that's the one thing that most people don't stop to think about. And it's the first thing I thought about today was the fact that his wife, they'd just been married 4 years, those precious kids. I didn't realize he had kids. I guess I just assumed. Charlie Kirk looked like he was out of high school. You look at Charlie, he looked like he was some high school kid. But he was in his 30s, 31 years old, and he had a family. I'm sure his mother and daddy are grieving tonight, his brothers, if they have brothers or sisters or whatever. The family is the one that hurts. Look, Charlie's gone. He's with Jesus tonight. And maybe somebody, I don't know who it was that said it tonight. I heard it, that he would not trade places where he's at in that realm above. He would never come back to this earth in a million years. He wouldn't want to. I know he wouldn't. But the family is here. And they're the ones that's going to grieve over this. And these babies, they're not going to know their daddy. And I think your statement is very well spoken. It's a shame. It's a shame. And it's not, it didn't have to be this way. This was something that was unnecessary. If you don't like what Charlie Cook has to say, don't go to the event. Put some earplugs in your ears. And some of these kids I watch debating him, they just almost salivate for him to say something so they can act the fool and act the way they do and say the vulgarity they do. You don't have to kill him. You don't like somebody, they saying, just turn it off. Walk away. Go to your clan. Go to your thing that makes you tick. Listen to whatever garbage you want to listen to. But killing somebody because you disagree with them, folks, that's a level that we just don't. We're at that place in this nation, and it's not good. It's not good. But the family suffers. The family suffers. Girl, for Jesus, you're right. It's very true. And Carol Smith, I will tell you this. We don't know what's happened, and we'll never know the country that we've lost. Sadly, some of these kids. Let's see here. Good to see Diana tonight. Diana J., good to see you. Diana, I'm sure his family is rejoicing, but there's sadness. Look, I lost my dad 4 years ago. I was sad, and I rejoiced because I knew where my dad is, but I still miss him. It's devastating. And look, you got to realize it's not just that he died, it's how he died. I mean, that's going to stick with this family. That part of this is going to be earth-shattering to them. Yeah, he's with Jesus. He's 31 years old. Charlie Kirk had 50 years maybe on this earth ahead of him that's just been snuffed out tonight. I should tell you, folks, that people die prematurely. But I agree with your sentiment, but it's not the normal, just run-of-the-mill, he laid down in the bed and died of old age. He was 31. They had just been married 4 years. They may be rejoicing, but it's not, goes without. This is devastating. And we need to pray for those families. I mean, and I know you do. I'm not fussing at you about it, but anyway. And Greg, we don't know where the other one was at, the heart of the Ukrainian. I don't know where her soul's at tonight. But anyway, Nick Gerald says Satan is really trying to destroy this country. Yes, he is. Yes, he is. Chris, you said there's more to this awful incident than we know. I'll agree with that. And I'm trying to see if we got any other comments. If you got any questions, put them in the house real quick. And we will, and Girl for Jesus, it's funny. I made the statement tonight. That's the one question that none of us can answer. And it's not even worth asking. Is the why. I've got no answer for that. Nobody does. That's the one question that I'm afraid is the only question that is probably the most useless question to ask, because there's a lot of whys on this earth. I'm 60 years old, and trust me, I've got about 10 volumes of books with the question, why did this happen? And I think all of us have that. That's one question God never answers. Not on this earth. Not on this side of the grave. And while I'm at it, all the experts out there, and this is where the Christians get their feathers in a wad, and they go out and they try to be experts tomorrow and try to figure out why this happened. Ain't none of us know that, folks. None of us know it. That's one question God don't answer. Not on this side of the grave. We are in a fallen world. We're in a violent world. People die because of sin. Because we're in this sinful world that we live in, people perish. Man is appointed unto man once to die, and then the judgment. But it is a murderous world because the God of this earth is murderous. Carol, you're right. It is spiritual, not the guns. I'll agree with that. I will agree with that. Anyway, listen, we want to thank you all for being with us tonight, and we're grateful that you've been here. If you got something out of this, put some fire in the house. And Deb says, I feel the longer this goes on, the harder it will be to catch the killer. Well, guys, I tell you what, we'll let the FBI worry about that. They're going to get him. God knows who did it. We just have to pray that they catch him and justice comes. I'm tired. I've given 5 shows today. I ain't done that in a long time. Pretty good for an old 60-year-old. We hope you enjoyed the shows today. We tried our best to give you as much information. We'll be back at it tomorrow. If we don't do the early morning special, we'll be here at 10 o'clock on the Bible study on the Faith Network. We will have a special 9/11 broadcast tomorrow, sometime during the day tomorrow. And it'll be all 9/11 tomorrow night. Thursday night, McFiles, 9 o'clock Eastern again. Depending on the news, we will have one show tomorrow night. But there is a possibility that we'll be back on here late. We thank you for being with us tonight. If you got something out of this, put some fire in that house. If you've not subscribed to our network, please do. Please do. Both our Telegram rooms, and you can find all this at themcfiles.org and so forth. And we hope that you enjoyed the prayer event tonight. That prayer event was something special. I hope you got a chance to listen to those of you that were out there. And we had a good time, tremendous time with folks praying for our country. And we're grateful for all those that came in and did that. Thank you all for those that did. And we're deeply appreciative for you tonight. God bless you. God bless this country. God bless the United States of America. God bless President Trump. God bless the family of Charlie Kirk. Be safe on this 9/11/2025. Wherever you do tonight, wherever you're at in this country, please keep your families close. Give them a hug. Tell them you love them. And just know that we're in this together, folks. We're going to get through this together. We're going to make it through with the Lord's help and grace. Father, I thank you tonight for another opportunity to come speak, encourage the folks. Encourage the folks, fire up the troops. I do pray for Charlie Kirk's family tonight, Lord. I plead the blood of Jesus over his wife, his babies, his memory, his legacy. Father, we pray that his death will not go to waste, that good will come out of it, and that the land will be changed. The landscape of this country will be changed for the better, not the worst, after this. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Amen. Have a good night, everybody. Be blessed out there, and we will see you back here tomorrow. We'll do it again. And until then, McDonald out. Good night.